What's up? Welcome to Trackletics Live, the ultimate show for all things track and field. Join us as we dive deep into the sport, interviewing track and field athletes, coaches, nutrition specialists, and more. Get ready to hear some dope conversations and gain exclusive insight into what it takes to become a top performer in the sport. Whether you're a seasoned track and field athlete or just starting off, this is the show for you. So make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Let's get into the show. Snap, everyone. Let's welcome Cordell. How's it going, man?
So far, so good. How are you?
Doing great, man. It's an early morning, but it's a rest day for me, so I'm chilling out. Had a hard practice this week. How's training going for you?
It's just been because we're not competing this week. We don't got anything for another 2 weeks, so we've just been chilling. Just going to what we got coming up, healthy, feel good. So it's just been kind of a relaxed week for us here.
That's good. Yeah, gotta stay healthy at this point in the season. That is the name of the game, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And you've been dropping some impressive times on the track, some impressive marks in the field events. So I got some questions, man. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. My first question I ask everybody, there's many different events. You're doing a couple different ones yourself. There's so many, different schools or different places around the world that actually compete in track and field. And I believe everybody has a unique story, and I want to get to know yours. So what is your track and field story? How did you get into track and field?
My track and field story is kind of a wild one. Started track and field back in middle school. Back then, I'm pretty sure I high jumped, sprinted. That was about it. Started hurdling my 8th grade year in like our last meet where we just kind of did whatever. And so my events in that meet were hurdles, discus, shot put, and the 4x4. And I never would have guessed that meet would have changed my entire track and field career for the rest of my life because I've basically hurdled ever since then. Got to high school, hurdled, was a 3-sport athlete, track and field, basketball, and football. I thought leaving high school I was going to be a football player. Went to Minnesota to play football and to run track. Stayed there for a semester. Wasn't really rocking with it too much, so I ended up transferring out of Minnesota to Kansas to run track there. My freshman year was 2019. Yeah, 2019. Jeez, a long time ago. But that was my freshman year. Ended up becoming a Big 12 champ and being the Big 12 freshman of the year. And then after that, the following year, we had a complication with my transfer, and then that kind of messed with my second year there. But then we also had COVID shutting everything down. So it was just a big mix of a lot of things, weighed heavy on me. So I ended up going home just to, take a step back and basically debrief from everything. The following fall, I ended up going to Coffeyville Community College just to try to get back on track, both in academics and literally. But I still wasn't ready to be back. So I ended up taking another break, kind of a longer one. So I stepped back then. I had a couple of my teammates that are here now at Pittsburgh State. The coaches here, a couple talks with my mom, that just were like, I think you should give it one more try. You're not done yet. So in January, made the decision to come and give it another try. Went from selling phones in December to back in track world. In January, we ran in February, and we haven't really looked back. So it's a wild journey, but I mean, everybody's journey is different. I'm just grateful that I can now share my story and share my athleticism with the world.
Wow, yeah. What a wild journey for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's so many different events, so many different, places, schools around the world that actually compete in track and field, and everybody does have a unique story. That has to be the most unique, most wild story that
Yeah,
I've heard for sure.
yeah,
But much respect for you, to actually take the time to get back to the track and make those adjustments, those changes, that transfer to figure out, what team, what coach, what environment would be best for you to actually excel and reach your full potential. Track and
yes.
field is not easy, especially with the events that you're competing in. So yeah, I know it was a wild journey, but I know it wasn't an easy journey at all. But go all the way back. We gotta go back to high school, right? You're doing a mix of events that don't really blend. Some people are jumpers and they jump. Some people are sprinters and they just sprint. Some people are throwers and they just throw. How do you get into doing all of that? Like, did you step on the track and you seen it and you was like, okay, I'm gonna try that, I'm gonna try this, think I'll be good at that? Or, you're an all around athlete for sure. So how did you get into all of those events?
So in back in middle school, like in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, like I always did high jump, 4x1, 4x2, and long jump. Those are my main events in like back in middle school. And then for our last meet where we did just kind of a we just kind of we got to choose our events and we did whatever just because it was our last meet of the season. Because I honestly had no clue about the whole AAU like track circuit or New Balance. Like I had no clue about none of that until I got to college. Uh, I literally found out about it when like all my teammates at Kansas were like, oh, and the way they were talking were like they knew people, and I was like, aren't you guys freshmen? Like, aren't you guys from different parts of the country? And they're like, oh, well, I saw them at New Balance Nationals, and I was like, but
What's that?
yeah, I didn't know about any of that. So at our last meet where we got to choose whatever, I just happened to choose hurdles. I did it kind of out of spite. I was like, I want to beat one of my teammates because he'd been winning all year, and I was like, I have no clue how to do it, but I'm gonna try it just to beat him. And then and then I was like, well, I might as well try just a whole bunch of stuff. So I tried discus and shot put, and then we ended up running a 4x4 team. But after the hurdle race, I'm pretty sure I like set the school record for the hurdles in my first race ever doing it, never practicing it. And so I kind of was like, there is a chance that we should actually do this. So when we got to high school, we started with hurdles, high jump, long jump, and triple jump. Those are my events. Occasionally, I would run on a relay because in Wisconsin we can only do four events regardless. I know some states allow you to do four events in a relay. Some states are different, but in Wisconsin you can only do four events. Do three in one area and one in the other if you want to. Otherwise, you can go two and two. Um, but I ended up doing triple jump, long jump, high jump, and then hurdles. That was what we really focused on. Um, and my best event in high school, I actually haven't done in college yet. So I wonder if we'll ever be able to do it. But it might be a door that's closed already. And we've just
Interesting.
always been, I've always been bouncy, in basketball and football. So I think that's where, the jumps came from. And then hurdles was literally just I happened to do it and happened to be good at it, and I just continued to do it and continued to work at it.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so now moving on from high school to college, um, was it like a time where you sat down and you were like, okay, I'm gonna focus on these main events, or were you still into trying some things? Did you have some coaches wanting you to, try some more events as well?
So when I transferred to Kansas at the semester, due to me not doing it like competing or anything, my fall semester at Minnesota, I was eligible right away after my transfer, and so we were looking to just basically train through our indoor and just kind of do events that are easier to just kind of walk into. So we went straight with long jump, high jump, and hurdles just because we wanted to triple jump, but we were like, we'll wait until we have a whole fall to get ready for it. And so we just got right into those, ran the occasional 4x4 just to try to get into shape. But other than that, we were really just focusing on those three just kind of right away because both my track seasons that I've competed in, I've essentially came in the beginning of second semester and really gone into it. So it's basically been the same thing here. Getting here in January, I don't get the fall training like everybody else. I didn't have the beginning indoor meets that some people have. So, we used that and just went straight into the season.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I myself, I'm a sprinter, and so we're out there in the fall doing all the long workouts that we hate, but we're putting that time in. And so you come into the sport in January, and now you're blazing the track, like killing the hurdles, killing the high jump. That's an amazing journey for sure, right? But I want to ask about your transfers, you mentioned a little bit about it before, but was it a transfer to find the best coach, right? You mentioned a little bit about COVID kind of affecting the time as well. What was the determining factor to get to, or to transfer to Kansas and then transfer to Pittsburgh now? What made you want to go through that?
So the Minnesota to Kansas transfer, that one was more of the coach that recruited me a bunch through high school. He was at Minnesota. Minnesota's track and field programs, most schools now in the country are just, there's one coaching staff. Men and women's teams are one. At the time, there was a women's staff and there was a men's staff. And due to the women having more success, they ended up merging the programs. So all the women's coaches became everybody's coaches, and the men's coaches were let go. And he ended up leaving to go to Kansas, which made it a little bit easier at semester when I entered the portal to just, I'm going right over there because I know him. And so I just kind of followed my coach then. This one was more so of I have I have a couple friends on the team here. My roommate from Kansas, he's actually here as well. He's basically like my brother, so he's out here. We both made the decision to come. I'm pretty sure he's in the chat, probably saying something outlandish. My boy Slim. Uh, he kind of reached out to a bunch of us from that spent time at Coffeeville. He reached out to us to, get the band back together essentially, and that kind of happened all in January, and now we're all here and just enjoying ourselves.
Wow, that's crazy. What a journey for sure. But now that you're at Pittsburgh, what is that team like? What is that environment like? How are you feeling about being in that program?
This program, I was a little skeptical at first. I'm not gonna lie. I guess I was kind of stuck in the way that a lot of the world still thinks of. When I first was coming, I was like, there's no need for me to be here. I just don't think I'm a Division II athlete. That's just kind of like my actual thoughts when I came here. But then the way everybody on this team carries themselves, both men and women, they carry themselves like champions, and it shows. That's why there's so many trophies that we have in our trophy room. We're basically out of space in there. But the way that everybody carries themselves and the way that the coaches carry the team as well, I can see the difference, and that's where I have just kind of taken a step back and just kind of been walked right into the culture that they got here. So I really do enjoy, this place. I enjoy the coaches, the teammates, the atmosphere. The city is literally basically all about track and field here. Track and field and football are kind of the talk of the town, and especially with what they were doing before I got here and what we've been doing since I got here. Uh, there's people that even just us walking down the street, I'm pretty sure they're on the track team, and that's just how they are here.
Wow, yeah, no, that's amazing. Having a team, a program that truly supports track and field, and I've spoken to athletes in D1, D2, NAIA, and it's not necessarily about the division that you're in. It is all about that championship mindset. Are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to actually, do what it takes to reach your full potential, So being an athlete like at the caliber that you're at in Division II, no, you're not a Division II athlete. You're a high class athlete. You're somebody that's excelling in the sport, regardless of the division. The times stand for themselves, the marks stand for themselves. So Don't take it like, nah, I'm just in Division 2, and for anybody else out there that's watching this as well, doesn't really matter what division you're in. The only thing that differs there is, somewhat of the money. Some have scholarships, some don't, but the whole point is to get out to that track and put in the work and excel and execute, when it comes time for the track meet. And that's exactly what you're doing. You just dropped some impressive times in the hurdles. You dropped an impressive mark in the high jump, right? Long jump as well. So how are you feeling about your journey now that you just started in January and you're already competing and dropping some impressive marks?
Honestly, I kind of think that like, yes, it's my 1297 is fast, my 824 is far, my 218 I need a little bit more work in high jump, but um, the position, the point that I'm at here in this season, I think I'm in a great place, just because I don't believe I'm fully in shape yet. I don't. I've felt myself in shape both at Kansas and at Coffeyville. I know I never competed at Coffeyville, but arguably versus all the like conditioning and stuff that I've gone through at Coffeyville, I feel like I was legit in the best shape of my life. Um, but I never competed while I was there, so I never got to test that theory. But those that were close to me would even say that like, nah, I was in a different mindset, in a different mode at Coffeyville prior to leaving there. So I don't think I'm anywhere near that yet. So yes, I've got some impressive stuff out there now, but due to the fact that I've got a long season ahead of me, essentially, hopefully going till August, for sure going until July, that once nationals is over in 2 weeks, we can really train and unleash whatever we got left in us and see what we can really run this year.
All right, okay, yeah. So with that being said, you just getting started for real.
Yeah,
So I'm definitely gonna be, paying attention, watching your journey for sure. Like I said, you've already had some impressive marks, but sounds like you still have some stuff left in the tank,
yeah.
right? But let's talk about your current experience at Pittsburgh, right? Um, with you not being in shape, you or not being in the best shape, of your life, just starting in January, are there any workouts that you're doing that you feel has helped you excel on the track when you step out to compete?
I mean, in like it sounds crazy for me to say, but like we really haven't done workouts since like me being here. Like I've done basically a lot of technique stuff. Like my weeks have consisted of doing high jump approaches, long jump approaches, couple hurdle drills. I think the most I've done so far is over 10, but that was one day. Um, like we really haven't like gotten into like real workouts as we were just trying to ease myself back into the track world without doing too much, not trying to do too much too fast and end up, having some type of injury, which I'm thankful for the coaches that they, had that mindset of, let's work him back into it instead of, oh, we got this athlete, let's throw the kitchen sink at him. So,
Right.
um, I mean, that's where I think we're kind of all waiting for nationals to end and then really put the hammer down of workouts and stuff to really get into, as we're more so of trying to be as healthy as possible, where we can go a lot harder because we're just doing one event, most likely of just focusing on hurdles through June and July. So I really don't have any any workouts that we've really been doing so far yet.
Yeah, literally just getting started, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's impressive for you to just be getting started, focusing on the technique work. That is half the battle. If you don't have a good technique, it literally limits, how far you can go in track, or how fast you are, or how high you can actually jump. So that makes sense. It's great to have a coach that is investing in you, the time, the energy, the effort, and not, like you said, just throwing the kitchen sink at you for sure. But you also mentioned your roommate, being like a brother. What is that team environment like? Was that one of the reasons that you transferred as well? You wanted to find, the people that I'm training with, some of them are now my brothers as well, so that helps me put in more work. That helps them keep me accountable, So what is that team like?
Um, Starting with Trey. So Trey was my roommate at Kansas. We locked in a relationship out there. Basically, has became my brother. When I went to Coffeyville, I ended up, convincing him to come to Coffeyville, and we've just kind of been bouncing to the same schools. He, Me and him had talked about if I was going to get back into school, probably early fall. We were talking about if I was going to go back to school, and I kind of was like, maybe we'll see. And then I had told Slim, I told him that if Trey came to Pitt, I would come to Pitt. And then Trey called me and said, "Hey, I'm in Pitt. Where are you?" And I was like, "Well, I'm driving into work right now." So, and he was like, "Oh, well, when do you get down here?" So I went in, I quit my job, bought a plane ticket, packed up my apartment, moved my stuff back home, and flew out a couple days later. And if it wasn't for him calling me and basically saying, "Where were you?" I probably wouldn't have actually came down to Pitt. But it's I don't think any of it is possible that I do for real. If I didn't have his mindset, him as a brother, like with me um, during indoor, he ended up winning triple jump. Battling a foot injury, he ended up being a national champion triple. And then we got to outdoor. He had one meet and he ended up breaking his leg, and so like that I know it was tough on him, but I don't think that people on the team understand how tough that was for me. Like to be there at practice to see that happen like that, like it shook me. And like I told him this my entire season, like I understand he can't compete, but like I'm gonna make the most of this season so that he's got we at least have something to talk about that is good that happens in this season, and we don't dwell on the injury that he has, so that when he comes back, he can hop right back in with me, because he really is that he's just as talented, and I really do love that man to death. Like that is my brother for real.
I completely understand that. Like I said, some of the guys that I'm training with, they are brothers. When, I went through a little injury, one of my teammates went through a little injury, we were there for each other, keeping each other inspired, focused. Like, hey, man, you can really do it. Stay locked in. Just focus on the recovery. Don't try to get back too soon. So it's dope that you guys have that relationship, Although this is a solo sport, it's an individual sport, we have the ability to actually build a team and build a brotherhood, or for the women build a sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not out there by yourself. You actually have somebody that cares for you, that has your best interests in mind too. So that support system goes a very long way. But you mentioned all the work that you're putting in, and how you're keeping him motivated, and kind of how you're doing this for the both of you, so you guys have something to talk about. What are the goals for this season? What are you looking to accomplish?
Um, if you would ask me this prior to opening up outdoor, would have said, I want to get through some clean, I want to get through some clean races. But after after the race that we had, basically 2 weeks after indoor nationals at Texas Relays, I opened up and went 13:32. It was a little, I think it was a little, not a little windy. I think that was a 3.9 wind. But after going 13:32, prior to that, the last race I ran, I went 13:63. So seeing that already of a gap in the difference, of me having my first race in basically 3 years, my first outdoor race with 10 hurdles, seeing that time there, and then the finals, I ended up running 14:38, but I was about a hurdle and a half ahead of everybody in that race, and I hit 8 or 9 really badly, and it messed up the entire race. Went from first to last real quick, but after watching the video, knowing that that race could have been a sub 13 race, we changed our goals. We had to throw them all out the window, because even though we saw 14:38, we knew what was on the horizon. Um, so we've just been kind of working towards making that world's team. Obviously, I want to get. I want to win another national title. Both. I want to win my events in Colorado, but I also want another team title. I do believe that we can. We have the ability to do that again. Um, Here at Pitt, we've got a lot of talented people. I think we'll be able to do that, and then hopefully making the world team, or at least having a good USA's. That's all I can really ask for. Whether it's just in hurdles that I go there for, or if my if long jump happens to pop another one, or I could high jump something crazy. We never know. I've always surprised myself when it comes to athletics. Is the things I thought I could do, I end up not doing, and the things I think I can't, I end up doing. So, so we'll see. There's a lot in store. We're gonna have a long summer ahead of us, for sure. I wanna hopefully at this point after this past weekend, I want to at least see a 13-8, hopefully, win legal at 13-12-8, hopefully win legally. I think that's possible with, me not being fully in shape, and then with us putting in the work, I believe that we can really get to some scary times.
Oh yeah, it's definitely about to be some scary hours. You definitely have the potential for sure, and you're just getting started. So you can definitely take this journey as far as you want to take it. It's up to you to make it whatever you want to make it. Um, but back to the workouts, right? So you're just getting started. You're putting in the technique work, right? You don't necessarily have any hard workouts or any really like favorite workouts that you're doing. That's really taking it there for you, and you're going to focus on that, as you head into USA's and stuff like that. But are there any lifting workouts that you're doing that you're feeling is helping get your strength back? Uh,
I know all my teammates are in the in the chat. I have not lifted since I got here. I'm
oh
gonna be
man.
honest. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay. I
I,
gotta ask. I gotta ask why. Do you typically not lift, or has it just
I
been timing?
no, usually do. I like at Kansas. I lifted at okay, never lifted.
Never
I'll say it,
lift.
never lift. Never lift is a little crazy, all right. But no, I lifted at Kansas. I lifted at Coffeyville. It was more so of the way that just kind of we're easing back into things. I didn't want to because everybody had their like lifts already, and I was like, I haven't lifted like for real in like 3 years, but like I'm not about to lift just like baby weights because I know I could do more than that. But then just uh, I didn't really take the time to get my maxes and do all that stuff and really he's been a cap. Um, to like get really back into it. I think after nationals, I'll definitely start lifting again, uh, just to build more strength, build more explosiveness for USA's because I'm gonna need it. Because there are some dogs in that hurdle race, and I'm trying to be the top dog. So we'll see.
Gotcha. Okay. So you talked about your technique work on the track. We talked about not lifting, right, and getting back into that as nationals and USA's come up, right? But what is your favorite post-workout meal? What are you refilling with after practice?
Um, uh, there's there's a lot of different meals that I'm a for whatever reason this year I've been a big egg person. I eat a lot of eggs, so I don't whether it's uh, just scrambled eggs, fried eggs. That's fine. After practice lately, I've been eating a lot of noodles. Noodles they just been hidden. Nothing like ramen. So, um, but uh, yeah, probably noodles and eggs. Those are my two meals that I eat the most currently. So, um, that's
Got
it, bro.
you. Do you have any favorite sports drinks? Drinking a Gatorade, a Powerade, a Body Armor, anything that you feel helps fuel your performance or refuel you after practice?
Um, we got a Powerade machine in our in the weight room. I guess that's the only thing in the weight room I go in there for. Is I go in there for granola bars and some Powerade. So Powerade and water is kind of all I drink, really. Um, I'm not a soda person at all. Um, but yeah, Powerade and water is definitely the two drinks that I drink the most. Russ did say Body Armor and get a deal.
Yeah. Hey, but at least you're using the weight room. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You're going in there and getting the Powerade, the,
I'm
the
using the
snacks too.
performance center to help myself out.
Exactly. That's what it's there for, right?
Absolutely.
Um, but you keep mentioning the hurdles. Is that going to be your main focus moving into nationals and USA's?
At nationals, I'm still going to do all three. I'm going to do high jump, long jump, hurdles, and then it's. I have to look at what the. I haven't looked at what the qualifying standards are for USA's. I think the most likely that we could do would be hurdles and long jump. If I were to qualify for both of those, but if it's even like I'm barely qualifying for long jump, then I'll just focus on hurdles just because, I'd rather build 100% into, being faster than 1297 versus, trying to get consistently over 8 meters. So um, I think hurdles will probably be the main focus throughout the summer, but, anything can happen in this sport.
True, yeah. Anything can happen. This is a sport where I say passion trumps logic. So even though somebody might be faster than you on paper, they might hit the eighth hurdle, the ninth
Yep.
hurdle. And now you the dog in the race. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, this is a sport where it's all about the passion and executing at the race, right? But you mentioned USA's making a world team. Is your goal to go pro? Are you looking to compete in the Olympics or anything like that?
Um, Eventually, I do think that that will be the route that I go. I think my mom's in here. I have said the same thing to her. I've said the same thing to the coaches. If I leave school again without a degree, my mom's going to kill me. So I need to work towards getting that degree now. But also at the same time, she understands that this is a sport that when your when your time comes, you have to take advantage of it then and now because you can't. Not everybody can take a 3 year break of installing cable and selling cell phones and then come back to the sport and run if you win correct my time it would be 1301, so I mean that still would be the world lead, but nobody knows. No, you can't take a 3 year break and in 4 months after that run a world lead. That's not normal, and I
Right.
understand that, so I know that I can't take another break and and not get a degree, but I also can't pass up what's been going on for real. So we will see.
True. Hey, well, there are some athletes that go pro and they're still able to actually finish their degree, still whether it's online or, making adjustments to the schedule. You definitely have the potential and like you said, it's not normal for anybody to take a 3-year break, come back in January, and blaze the track like that, drop these impressive marks and everything. So when the time comes, hey, you gonna have to,
Yeah.
answer that call, for sure. But also, there comes a point in every track athlete's career where you have to hang your spikes up. Track is not a sport where you can do it for, until you're
Yeah.
40. You know what I'm saying? Like, Shelly Ann Fraser is like 36 and she's still competing, but there's still going to be a point where she has to hang her spikes up, right? So, what are your goals after track? What are you looking to accomplish? What are you going to use that degree for that you're getting as well?
Um, I wanted to get my degree that I'm working towards is exercise science. I've always wanted to be just kind of a part of, sports. The athletic trainers at Kansas definitely left an impression on me on just how to, properly prepare your athletes. So being an athletic trainer has always been something that I wanted to be, due to that, because I also was at Coffeyville where I'm not going to say we had the greatest I'm not going to say we had the worst, but in the levels of difference, I can see that there's a difference. Obviously, Division One to a JUCO, there's going to be the differences. Even the differences of JUCO, D1 and D2, I see a difference in all of the athletic training, which I've always I've been on the side of like it shouldn't matter what division you're in. You should always be, looking in the best interest of your athletes. So, as an athlete, I want to go into that to be able to, prepare athletes to go be at their best. That's definitely something I want to go into. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be an athletic trainer or an occupational therapist, and move people back from injuries and get them back to their health. So there's a lot of different routes we could take, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely a couple different routes you can take. And I can see how, like you said, the athletic trainers have left a, you know, big impression on you and helped you out through your journey, being able to come back and you've transferred to multiple schools and I didn't hear that anybody like turning back on you. Seems like you've been getting help. So you might want to, turn around and help some others out as well, and then for like your roommate, him going through a major injury and you're there for him and, making sure he's staying focused and motivated to come back and execute in sport as well. I could definitely see how, those two routes could work for you for sure. Right.
Yeah.
But looking back to high school or when you first started track, what is something that you wish you could have told yourself, something that you know now, or, something that you wish you could tell yourself, basically.
Um, if I was to tell my high school self anything, I would tell them that there's different spikes in the track and field world. I did all my events in high jump spikes. Um,
Oh,
had,
well,
yeah, I had no clue that there was. Yeah, I found out my at my state meet. Um, at the state meet that there was even like sprint spikes, and like one of the moms was like, um, she's like, Cordell, where do you only have one pair of spikes? And I was like, yeah, you only need one, right? Like, what are we talking about? And she was
right.
like, I can't remember who it was, but she's like, go find her son, and she was like, go find him and use his spikes for your hurdle race. And I PR'd by like half a second, just in switching spikes. And so I was like, oh, so yeah, so yeah, I would have told myself that just because a lot of the way I think about track, I've thought about it the same way since in high school of just always being competitive, wanting to be the best. The way I've carried myself the same since high school. Um, I I guess I wasn't really in a big mental space in a big mental slide back then. So yeah, I would say legitimately. That I would just tell myself that there's different spikes out there. That would be the biggest thing I would need to know because who knows what I could have did in high school if I would have known. I shouldn't be triple jumping in high jump spikes. I shouldn't be long jumping in them, and I shouldn't be hurdling in them.
Right, definitely. There are other resources and tools and spikes that you should be using for different events. There's sprint spikes, long distance spikes, high jump spikes, long jump spikes. Even nowadays, there's spikes that hurdlers specifically love. It is a sprint, but there are, spikes that they love that they say it helps them feel their rhythm. It helps them feel their feet. So yes, there are different spikes for sure, but that's kind of fun. But I do have to say thank you again for sitting down, having this conversation with me. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, hearing about your journey, what you're looking to accomplish in the track as well. I'm 100% convinced, you have the potential. You can take this as far as you want to take it. It's up to you to make this what you want to make it. So looking forward to watching you compete, heading into nationals, um, worlds, USA's, and definitely seeing you on the Olympic stage as well, man. You definitely have the potential. Stay focused, stay at it for sure.
That is a plan. I appreciate the last few days hearing a lot of people finally have I guess finally have be understand oh my goodness, can't speak. Be understanding of like the situation that I'm in and the things that I've always kind of essentially dreamed about of saying, I'm pretty sure I told my parents when I was a lot younger that I wanted to go to the Olympics. Um, and so like the fact that it could be a reality next year is insane that like yesterday I talked to Will Clay and Justin Gatlin and like being able to be in the world now of track and understanding, where I'm at. It's insane. And I'm grateful for everybody that has been a part of this, that is saying, hey, we're watching you now. You've piqued our interest, that is a part of the track world, because, I'm just kind of getting my foot in the door, and I am grateful for it all.
Definitely just getting your foot in the door. Just started in January, so you have a lot more room for growth for sure. But it's been impressive watching your journey. It's been a pleasure. Um, Grateful that I got to have this conversation with you again. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what drop on the track, and how far you can take this thing.
Absolutely. We're all waiting to see what we can do.
Definitely. Well, that is it for us here at Trackletics Live. Thank you guys for tuning in.